Obi-Wan episode 4. Ooh, getting a little bit juicy, isn't it? Okay, what did we learn in this episode? Well, one thing that we did learn is that the Jedi can swim underwater fully clothed. Now, we already knew that they could do that from episode 1. But the interesting thing is it just reminded me that we did a activity at school where we had to swim across an Olympic-sized swimming pool, not lengthways. So we had to do this fully clothed, get out, run to a fence, come back and jump across. Now we did it at a shallow end so everyone could stand. But what was discovered is that it is almost impossible to swim if you are fully clothed. Jeans, sloppy joe, something like that. You just cannot swim fully clothed. It's just impossible. But of course the Jedi can, and their clothes is like instantly drip dry. So we've learnt that. Okay. We've learnt that the third sister, obviously trying to set up that Kylo Ren could use his force powers to read someone's mind, that she could do that too. But Leia was able to block her, which I thought was a nice little interesting line. Is this a staring contest? But she didn't really seem too fazed that she couldn't read Leia. Instead of thinking, hang on, this child's strong with the force, maybe we need to investigate this further, she just seemed to take a different tact trying to find out information or whatever. So I thought that was a little bit of an interesting thing. Obviously, a couple little convenient plot elements to move the story along. For instance, that there was an underground hatch that Obi-Wan was able to get into to pop up. You'd expect that in something that's built in water, I suppose, but it's just nice and convenient. And of course, why would there be a guard out there? If no one was expected to come in through that hatch anyway, there'd be no reason to have a guard at that door. Just thinking aloud, of course. But again, a nice little convenient plot device. Now, what I did find interesting was my feeling about it anyway, was that as the episode went on, Obi-Wan's force powers were increasing. He was getting better with the force. Now, whether that was due to motivation, he was getting more and more motivated, or just getting more in sync with the force. It doesn't really matter why, just that my feeling was he was becoming more and more powerful with the force. He was able to deflect the blaster bolts with his lightsaber more accurately as the fights went on. He was able to move things a little bit more with his force powers as it went on. So we're looking forward to... Now, if we take this series out, then when we have the line in episode 4 where Vader says, you know, when we last met, you were the master and I was a student, then we are thinking of the fight on Mustafar. But now that we have this series, we still need to have an encounter where Obi-Wan overcomes Vader again and shows that he is actually still the master. So that's obviously has to be in episode 6 and right towards the end of episode 6, because as soon as it happens, people will just phase out. Overall, I thought nice little twist that as soon as she said she planted a tracking device, I knew it was on the little bug because she was handling the bug. So that was a nice little thing that we can look forward to. And of course, it immediately reminded me of Boba Fett putting a tracking device onto, well, not Boba Fett putting the tracking device, but from the original Star Wars, where they put a tracking device on the Millennium Falcon. And Grand Moff Tarkin said to Vader, you know, I'm taking a big risk letting it go. So with the tracking device. So yeah, that was my immediate thought. The tracking device ploy had been used. And here we are seeing it used again. Or in this case, used before we see it used in episode 4 from that point of view. Overall, I enjoyed this series. Not full of action, but just enough movement to just keep the story moving in a logical sense. That is, Leia had been kidnapped and now we have to rescue her in a logical way that made sense, but also gave us a little bit more information to drive the story forward a little bit more. So overall, I enjoyed the episode and look forward to episode 5.